everyone. Thank you so much for the introduction. I'm really excited to be here today. This is such an amazing opportunity, I think, for so many people to learn more about technology and what the tech world is like. And I really hope that you all get to learn something from this conference today in general and from my talk as well. Can everyone see my screen and hear me?
Yes, I can
Yes.
see the screen and hear you.
Okay, great. So I'm Liz. I work for a company called DBT. So just a quick introduction to me. I'm the practice lead for UX and UI design at the company. I am a UX designer myself, so not a developer. I've done a little bit of front-end development, but not nearly enough to really be considered a developer. As you mentioned, I've done my master's. I'm busy doing my PhD in health humanities, trying to see how we can use design to improve healthcare. I also play violin, and I've summited Mount Kilimanjaro. I like adventuring, and I miss being able to travel, as I'm sure most of you do at the moment as well. So to get right into it, when I started thinking about this talk, I wanted to think about what are the things that I've taken with me through my career. And the things that kept standing out to me were things that people have said to me. And some of these were funny, some of them were infuriating, some of them were really frustrating. And I figured I'd share those with you today to give you an idea of some of the things that we as women face in this space. And this is obviously very subjective, but I've heard a lot of people say that they have had similar experiences. So I realized that a lot of my frustrations about being a woman in technology wasn't so much actually about being a woman in tech. It's the fact that people kept treating me like I was a girl, which is not, there's nothing wrong with being a girl, but they kept treating me like someone who was incompetent, someone who should be in the corner of the room shushed while the adults were speaking. Never mind the fact that I do have relevant experience and I am an expert in my field. It's why I'm in the room. And it got better over time once I started realizing that I needed to stand up for myself and I needed the confidence and self-assurance to actually have those conversations with people. People were very often telling me that I'm too much something or not something enough. And it's this constant flux where you start feeling insecure because I was told that I was too emotional but not empathetic enough, and all these things that are at juxtaposition with each other that do not make sense. And I started realizing that the fault in this was not so much in me, it was in other people and their expectations of how they thought I should be acting. So to give you a few of the fun things that have been said to me. So you get a lot of people that will call you, oh, hey, babe, or babes, or sweetie, darling, angel, pet. My boyfriend doesn't even use silly nicknames like that for me. And it's really frustrating when you're in a professional environment and someone starts calling you these things, because it immediately undermines your position as a professional who is working with them in the same space. And unfortunately, it's very often the well-meaning office mother that will do this. They do it as a means of trying to include you into the team, but it has the opposite effect. It makes you seem like this little precious person that has to be protected. And it's so difficult because it's a well-meaning action, but it does actually undermine that. So the only advice I can give in this situation is try and not do that to other people, and understand that it might put someone in an uncomfortable position. I've also been told that when I just started in industry, that at your age, I wasn't even invited to these kinds of meetings. You should be grateful. And I was left thinking, but why are you trying to exclude me from these meetings, which are part of my job? And it comes down to people not wanting to help each other and thinking that, no, but you must earn your right. Why does everyone's path, if your path has maybe been difficult, why would you want to make someone else's path difficult? People have different career paths. Take them along with you, help them to grow, and don't try and feel that or tell someone that they shouldn't belong somewhere. If they're somewhere and they're adding value, then that's where they're meant to be. I was also told that I needed to have more empathy. which was really frustrating. As a UX designer, a big part of my job is to try and empathize with users and try and understand what people really want and how they need to want to interact with things or need to interact with things. Also, just as a human being, I try and have empathy for other people. The problem is that empathy can so often be exploited. Um, in this case, someone was telling me that I should have more empathy for a team member who wasn't communicating with anyone as to what their struggles were. I just had to take on all of the extra work. When eventually I found out that this person, their grandmother, had been sick, I told them, I'm really sorry to hear that. My own mother was in ICU for 2 weeks during the same time, and I had to do all of your work as well. So yes, you should have empathy for your team members, but with your coworkers, but communicate. It's difficult to have empathy if someone won't tell you what's going on or what they need some extra help with, perhaps. I've also been asked, why are you so emotional? So on the other hand of the scale, you have this stereotype of the hysterical, emotional woman that, can't perform her job because she's in hysterics and I don't know what else. And it's absurd. We are people, we have emotions. And in this specific case, my boss had been screaming at me so loudly that our open plan office went dead quiet. And he asked me why I was so emotional. And I was emotional because I was upset, because I felt that he was being incredibly disrespectful to me by speaking to me that way. And it's perfectly fine to have emotions. And it's perfectly fine to be upset if people treat you badly. And you need to communicate that and try and find a way to communicate that to them without them feeling that you're exacerbating the situation, perhaps. One of my favorite ones is, you're a woman, you should understand. In this situation, there were about 5 to 10 children under the age of 10 running around in our open plan office, screaming and crying. And apparently, because I was a woman, I should understand screaming, crying children. I don't have children, but besides that, your gender shouldn't have anything to do with what your life experience is and what you are willing to put up with, or what situations you're uncomfortable with, perhaps. I mean, there are so many scenarios in which that situation could make someone uncomfortable. Maybe someone had had a miscarriage recently, so they are very sensitive towards children. Maybe they had a niece or a cousin who had died at a young age, and therefore they were uncomfortable around young kids. It's not necessary, or maybe they even have auditory sensory processing issues where they get overwhelmed by loud noises. Your gender really shouldn't have anything to do with what you should understand in a situation. I've also been told by male co-workers that you should add emojis to messages to seem more friendly. Because apparently just sending a simple, straightforward request like, hi, could you please send me the files we spoke about, comes across as threatening and aggressive, which I really don't understand. I understand that text, you can't read the tone of voice, but it's very difficult when someone starts feeling that they can tell you how you should be conducting yourself, especially as I've never seen a man being told anything remotely similar, that they should be coming across as non-threatening and friendly all the time. So this GIF and this little girl, I think she's my spirit animal, where she just decides no matter what, this is not working for her. She doesn't want to smile. And I think that's fantastic. And then our favorite of all time, let me explain it to you. Now, the part that I find so funny about this is a woman said this to me repeatedly because I wasn't agreeing with her on something we were discussing. She was from the development side, and she kept explaining to me that this is what the process is. And I kept explaining to her, okay, but this is not the best user experience. Can we please look at changing it? And she kept saying, let me explain it to you. And then she would explain the exact same thing again. It's not that I don't understand, it's that I disagree. Those are very separate things. And it becomes very insulting if you use those words, if you try and explain something to someone because you assume they don't understand. People generally will tell you if they don't understand. There's a difference between someone disagreeing and not understanding. So on that, this is one of the things that have cut to the quick for me the worst so far is a client told me that if I could just learn to be more agreeable, I would be a great designer. And I thought about it and I got really angry because this person kept trying to bully our team and kept undermining everything we were trying to do and then blaming the rest of the team when things didn't work out after we told them it wouldn't work if they tried to do it that way. Being intentionally vague. And I find it so frustrating because me saying yes to everything that a client wants is not necessarily going to give them the result that they want. If anything, I'm not saying no to be difficult or to be a frustrating person or a difficult person. I'm saying no because it is my job and my responsibility to make sure that this project is going as well as it possibly could. So this is a video that I found. It was made recently by Girls magazine, and it features Cynthia Nixon narrating it. There's just a very small excerpt of it. Go and watch the full video if you can. I found it incredibly insightful, and it pretty much sums up everything that I'm talking about.
Be a lady, they said. Don't talk too loud. Don't talk too much. Don't be intimidating. Why are you so miserable? Don't be a bitch. Don't be so bossy. Don't be so emotional. Don't cry. Don't yell. Don't swear. Enjoy the pain. Don't complain. Fold his clothes. Cook his dinner. Keep him happy. That's a woman's job. You'll make a good wife someday. Take his last name. You hyphenated your name. Crazy feminist. Give him children. You don't want children? You will someday.
So the video keeps reinforcing this thing that women keep being told all these incredibly different things. Do this, no, do this, be that, be that. And there's no way that you can ever actually live up to someone else's expectations of who you should be or who someone else thinks you are. So things that I've learned through this process of things that I learned about myself and about the world that we live in. Most important thing that I learned is stand up for yourself. If someone is bullying you at work, if someone is trying to throw you under the bus, you need to have that confidence and realize, but you are valuable and you are important to your organization and to your team, and you deserve to stand up and say, hey, I don't appreciate the way that you're talking to me or the way that you're treating me. Can we not find a better way to address this? And it's all about compromise and just trying to work together. Confidence is key. If you don't come across as confident about what you're talking about, how are other people supposed to interact with that? It's very difficult for other people to get that you are the expert in what you're talking about if they don't see that coming from you. And I understand that as a junior coming into the industry, that is more difficult. But it's even if it's just the small thing that you are busy working on, for that moment, you are the expert in that thing you are creating or designing or developing, and you need to talk about it in the way that you know it, which is very well, hopefully. Trust your gut. If you feel frustrated with something, address it with that person. Don't let things get to the point where they start bubbling over and people get shouty and annoyed. Address things sooner rather than later. And if you feel uncomfortable with something, go and find someone to talk to. If it's a mentor, if it's a senior, whoever it might be, try and speak to them and just raise concerns if they do arise. I've noticed that as a woman, I'm often held to a different standard. I'm expected to be more punctual. I'm expected to take notes. I'm expected to do various things that my male co-workers aren't expected to do. And what I've learned to do is just call people out and say, but I can't take notes for this meeting. I'm presenting this meeting. You can do it. And there's no reason why other people can't do the same things. Don't allow them to hold you to a different standard. And one of my biggest frustrations that I've realized is that, yes, there is sexism in our industry, in any industry in the entire world, but there's also ageism. And it really frustrates me. Some of the best ideas I've heard have been from junior designers on our team. So just because you are junior and new to an industry, don't feel that you're not valuable and that you don't have the right to say something. maybe you have an idea that's completely different from what everyone else is thinking, because you haven't been in industry for 10, 15 years. You haven't been jaded and set into a certain way that you're used to working. So don't undervalue the knowledge and the new ideas that you might bring into your teams. And then lastly, it's so important that we support other women. I think pretty much all of my mentors throughout my career have been men. And while they have been amazing mentors, it would have been great to have women as mentors as well, because there's a different layer of things that we need to work with and address than men do. Yes, so support other women, look after each other, help each other, because if we're not going to help each other, then who else is going to? And that's me. Thank you so much. I am, again, really grateful that all of you are here today. I see there are some questions. I'm not sure if we have time. Let me quickly see.
Yes, we're going to go into a break now, so we do have time. But before you jump into those questions, can you please just share the link to the video in the chat after?
Oh, sure.
Done,
I'll do that. Yeah, it's about 2.5 minutes, so I didn't have time to show the whole thing. And parts of it are a little bit provocative, so I wasn't sure if that would be appropriate. But it really is very, very well done.
Yeah, and thank you so much for tackling all the gender stereotypes that we as women face in the workplace. You know, you've really given us the courage to speak out more and shy away from being afraid to express ourselves. And also, it's been really great to see so many people relate. So thank you so much, Lizette.
It's a pleasure. I think that's one of the big things is I've heard many times that no, women should be tougher, women should try and be like men in the industry. And that's nonsense. We're not men. Why should we try and be like men? Women are strong, women are fierce, and we need to be ourselves and embrace that. We do, and again, there is no one woman. There are various kinds of women. Some women are very outspoken. Some women are very gentle. And there are different styles for approaching things within each of those. And you just need to realize that whoever you are, that's fine. And you can work with that. Okay, so let's see if there are some questions. I'm glad to see that some of you guys are relating to this.
Yes, the questions were for the video, the link to the video.
Okay, I'll send the video. Thank you so much, guys. And I wrote up this talk of mine as a Medium post, blog post a while ago. So I'll share that as well if anyone wants to refer back to it. Thank you so much and enjoy the rest of the day.